Hello listeners and fellow Game Pass fans, get yourself set and ready for your favourite unofficial Game Pass podcast, Game Pass News. So I'll hand you over to Nick and Sean and get the show started.
Hello and welcome to Game Pass News, recorded Friday, July 7th. I'm Sean Abbott and my co-host Nick Tendo is not here. As a reward for all his wizardry behind the scene, he is on vacation. This week I'm going to be covering some Gamescom news and how excited Aaron Greenberg is. Demo Fest is back and Banjo could have been a franchise. So you better sit down, buckle up, because Game Pass News is one crazy ride.
Let's look at the funk.
That's right, everyone. Nick is away. It's just me. I'm going to be talking through this entire show, recorded via audio, sat on my bedroom floor all on my own. So if you don't like to listen to my dulcet tones for this long, turn off now, because you ain't going to get much else. I'm going to follow the normal program format that we have. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and my life, what I've been up to, and then we're going to carry on as normal. So, yeah. How is life? What is it? I'm fully preparing for vacation time as well. I go away Thursday. I'm going to go to Mallorca with the family. We're going to do a water park. We're going to do local food stuff. We're going to explore the island. We're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait. I'm so ready for a break. It's unreal. Not from you guys, not from the podcast, but just from life. It's in general. Work's busy. We haven't had much time together as a family because Lindsay's busy, new job, the kids are all finishing school and stuff like that, so they've had loads of stuff going on. So it's that time of year where we kind of everything seems to be happening all at once. Tie that in with the stuff with the car that I was talking about in the previous episodes, which I've now sorted but has made things worse. He doesn't want to drive in a straight line. So, yep, that needs some serious help. But yeah, other than that, I'm good. Lots of walking, lots of eating right, lots of looking after myself. So, yeah. We still got an event going on. Oh, excuse me. We still have an event going on. Or we've had an event going on, sorry. The Twitch contest. That's now ended, because that was only going to go to the end of June, and we're now in July. We're going to announce the winner for that contest next week in the live episode, so be sure to catch that. That'll be Wednesday, I believe. Wednesday next week. We're going to be live. Because obviously I go away on Thursday. So that's when we're going to announce it. So Wednesday next week, 6 p.m. US, 11 p.m. UK. You'll catch us live on Twitch. And we will be announcing the winner live over there. So, with a little bit of live chat and a little bit of event chat out of the way, we will move into the X feed. So welcome to the X feed. This is the part of the show where we talk about our top stories, news bulletins, and a feature story. There isn't a right lot this week. It's been a pretty quiet week from what I can dig through. We've had a few random announcements like Grand Theft Auto is coming back to Game Pass. The reasoning behind that, I'm not entirely certain. I've got an inkling that it's to do with the price rise. That, they're making a bit more money. They could offer a better deal to Rockstar to get one of their biggest and most successful games back to the platform. And we have been playing that game now for crikey, a decade nearly? It's unreal. And the online, it just keeps getting more and more support. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of rumors, and the old conspiracy theory mill is running that, this is a test to see how well this would be received on the platform, and, would potentially Grand Theft Auto 6 in the future come to the platform. But anyway, that's a completely different rabbit hole that I need to do a lot more reading and see why and look at some numbers. So I'm going to go into that. But the first top story for this one is Aaron Greenberg, who is the general manager at Xbox Games Marketing at Microsoft, says it's going to be a special year for these guys in 2023 at Gamescom, which is going to be running in August. Oh no, there it is, August 23rd to the 27th. He's kind of been quoted into saying that the huge event returns late August, and Xbox confirmed that they will be in attendance on the show floor at the very least when the event takes place in Cologne, Germany. I've never really caught one of these, so I'm not entirely certain, what's this going to be? Are we going to see some more showcases of games that we haven't seen yet? We're going to see announcements on future titles? Is this I don't know, the Xbox Showcase 2.0? Or is this just going to be, lots of interesting tidbits of games? Are they going to show some more Starfield off? And they're going to flex their muscles a little bit with, especially with Starfield, because that game's blowing us all away at the moment. But he is quoted in his tweets, saying, "Excited to be heading to Gamescom this year to see so many faces, familiar and new. Our teams have been working hard on the show floor presence and more. This will be a special year, and we're looking forward to sharing even more details soon." So, yeah, there's not a right lot more to this other than, Xbox are going to be a strong presence there, which I'm excited for because I like to see more titles from them. I like to see more stuff. I like them to be in places because, it only means one thing. It means more games to play. So, yeah, that's that one. Rare co-founder has been quoted as saying that he always intended Banjo and Kazooie to grow as a franchise. This is a story that I found on the Time extension, which are pretty neat website. It's very colourful. This is Banjo and Kazooie recently turned 25, and with that, the anniversary came the news that several of the key creatives behind the series, designer Steve Males, composer Grant Kirkthorpe, and programmer Chris Sufferlin had expressed doubts that there was an audience for more games in the franchise. And he's not wrong. 25 years later, we're all screaming for it. So, come on, make another one. Now the Rare co-founder, Time Stamper, has thrown in his hat in the ring, posting on Twitter. Stamper, who sold Rare to Microsoft in 2002, loaded the original game as a carefully constructed masterpiece, before adding that he always intended for the franchise to grow with the audience over a number of games. But the original game sold over 3 million copies on the N64, and so did its 2000 sequel. The return to the Game Boy Advance, Grunty's Revenge, and Banjo Pilot. Those didn't do very well, but then in 2008, Nuts and Bolts landed, and I kind of split everybody. I know Nick enjoyed Nuts and Bolts. I didn't as much. I found it too much of a I don't know, too much crap. For the age that I was when I played that game, I was like, oh yeah, Banjo is really cool. Another awesome platformer, go findy style game. And Nuts and Bolts was like that, but also wasn't like that. So yeah, it just didn't sit very well with me. I've gone back and tried to play it since then, and I don't know if it's a graphical thing. I don't know if it's because I didn't have the nostalgia with the game. I just couldn't stick with it. But I can go back and play the original, and I'm happy as Larry. I'm just like a pig and shit, basically. Where Nick, I know, has gone back and he has played it through, and he just found it really frustrating. He didn't like the camera angles. He didn't know how it worked. He really struggled with it. And I think with a lot of N64 games, Nick feels the same in terms of that they haven't really aged well, like the SNES and the NES games that were back then, and original Xbox games. They just don't seem to have aged as well as that. Like the N64 doesn't seem to have aged as well as that. So, anyway, despite appearing in Smash Bros. And seeing a re-release on the Nintendo Switch recently, the series has been largely dormant since Nuts and Bolts. Where the Bear and Banjo have a strong following on Nintendo systems, it would seem that their current owner isn't really sure what to do with them. I'd like to see a third one. I'd like to see a completely new third one, but I believe they might have to see how a remaster would sit. Take the game, take the original game, spruce it up, work on the camera angles. Don't do a Super Mario 64 style thing that they did where they try to make it work with the Joy-Cons or your Pro controller. Make an actual decent version of the game remastered and stick it out there and see how that does. Reap the benefits and the feedback from that kind of thing, and see where it goes. I know I'd play a remaster, especially if there was word of a a complete new game coming to the series. I mean, look at Metroid Prime. They remastered Metroid Prime, and the game was gorgeous to play. It was so much fun. So, you know, we're sat here waiting for Prime 4, but we're happy chewing up the tidbits of remasters that they're doing. So, and that's that one. ID at Xbox Demo Fest is back from July 11th. We're back! What's summer without new game demos to entertain you during these hot days and nights? Starting from July 11th and running right through to July 17th, you'll be able to experience over 40 game demos on your Xbox console. A few things to keep in mind about these, though. These demos will only be up on the Xbox dashboard for a week, so that's it. Some might be pre-published or republished to the demo channel later, but many will just simply disappear at the end of the week. So check them out while you can. Make notes of them, because obviously what they do with this kind of stuff is, you know, they take a lot of feedback. They'll look at social media presence over games and the hype that gets behind them. And hopefully the developers and the small indie developers will go away and they'll work with Xbox and be like, yep, okay, we need some extra cash. People really like this game. Let's do it. Let's make it. Let's, you know, make it real. So these game demos are not the norm. Typically, the demos you see in our demo channel are created after the game is completed or nearly completed. So what you're going to see is not like a complete, oh, this is a work in progress, it's going to be buggy. You're going to see like either overly polished games that are completed and ready to go that they want to test the ground with, or you're going to see, you know, you're coming down to the 1100 grit, kind of the, you know, the finishing touches. See, think of these as akin to show floor demos and not necessarily indicative of the final product. What this means is that you'll get to experience these games early, some way early, which is awesome since you'll have the chance to provide your feedback. You should also note that these games will continue to evolve and be polished as they near release. There is a list here. We'll announce a full list on July 11th, but here are some of the titles we have to keep in mind. So, Demon School is the first one on the list by Nickless Games. It's an RPG with tactical elements and a spooky horror vibe. Demon School has you to try and survive university life as Faye, the last living demon hunter. Experience unique tactical battles, build relationships with friends, complete goofy side quests, and fight gigantic bosses, all while unrevealing the dynamic mystery of the island. Liza P, which is a game that's available now, but that's going to be a demo that you can play, I'm assuming, to get you in and try the game out. And that's NeoWiz. Inspired of the familiar story of Pinocchio, Liza P is an action Souls-like game set in a cruel, dark, Belle Epoque world. All of humanity is lost in a once beautiful city that has now become a living hell filled with unspeakable horrors. Liza P offers an elegant world full with tension and deep combat system and a gripping story. Sea of Stars is another one they've got listed here from Sabotage Studio. Promising the Sabotage touch in every system, Sea of Stars aims to modernize the classic RPG in terms of turn-based combat, storytelling, explanation, and interactions with the environment, while still offering a hearty slice of nostalgia and good old simple fun. So yeah, I'm not turned on by RPGs, but you know, the graphics for this look really nice. The next one on the list, I know Nick's either he has played this and really liked it and is excited that it is coming to Game Pass, because it's coming soon. Or it's already here. One of the two, I can't remember. But anyway, they're doing a demo. So if you don't have Game Pass, you can still get the ability to play these demos when they appear on the dashboard. So, you know, you could give this a go, enjoy it, and think, you know what, if I can play that on Game Pass, I'm going to chuck some money at Game Pass and see how it goes. So The Wandering Village from Stray Font Studio is a city building simulation game on the back of a giant wandering creature. Build your settlement and form a symbiotic relationship with the Colossus. Will you survive together in this hostile yet beautiful post-apocalyptic world contaminated by poisonous plants? Next on the list is Wordless. Wordless is a stylized 2D adventure platformer with innovative combat and mind-bending interpretive narrative. Wow, lots of narrative words in there. Players will walk the line between physical and astral planes with a shapeless world, embarking on a journey of self-growth and understanding. featuring a great variety of enemies, bosses, and skills to unlock, and several abstract yet beautiful areas to explore, together with curated sound effects and magnificent original soundtrack, composed by Gris, our Berlinist. Wordless will make players feel immersed and challenged while they walk their path to a new beginning. I'm excited for that because I like everything that it said. I like stylized 2D adventure platformers. Give me Tunic and give me, old top-down style games like that, as well as 2D side-scrolling stuff. I love the fact that they are pinning the soundtrack. I'm always a big fan of a really nice soundtrack. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that one. I will be keeping my eyes peeled for it. And that's all the ones that they've listed for now. They're just to keep your eyes peeled, mark your calendar for July 11th, and just keep an eye on your dashboard because that's where they'll be appearing as and when they are available. That's the top stories. Like I said, there wasn't a great deal. That's all I have. So moving on to the news bulletins, Xbox Game Pass is now officially more expensive in most countries. I'm sad by this, but I'm also happy about this because, is this why we're seeing things like Grand Theft Auto 5 return? So today's the day for Xbox Game Pass price increase, as announced a couple of weeks ago. July 6th, excuse me, marks a jump from $9.99 to $10.99 for the standard console version and $14.99 to $16.99 for the Ultimate version. I believe if you're a PC Game Pass subscriber, you're in luck because the service is going to stick at the same price of $7.99 or if you're UK and $9.99 if you're in the US. So, it's not too bad. I'm not upset at the, paying $12.99 instead of paying $10.99. I'm not upset at all. It's a great service, lots of fantastic games. You get, for the Ultimate, you get your Xbox Live, there. So that's all the gold stuff. So you get access to the games with gold, you get access to multiplayer, etc., etc. So I really can't get upset by that at all. So, yeah. And moving on to the feature story, because Aaron Greenberg is really excited about Gamescom, I want to maybe do just a little 10-15 minute talk about it. I want to talk like, is this something I should be hyped about? Is this something you should be hyped about? Who knows? I mean, any opportunity we get to see showcases of games or trailers for games or anything like that, and like this time of year, I always joke, a game was Christmas. Yes, it's something to get hyped about. We're going to see people talk about games. We're going to see trailers for games. We might see new stuff that we haven't seen yet. So yeah, there's a lot to be hyped and excited about. But there's also that level of, are we just going to see stuff that we've already seen? We've already had the summer showcase. We've had, we've had the Xbox own direct with Starfield tied to that. There's also other stuff. Nintendo have done their own things. Sony have done their own thing. And then all your developers and your publishers have gone and done their own thing. So is it just going to be a lot more of the same old? I don't know. But Xbox is there with Bethesda, so I can only assume that we are going to see more Starfield, which I'm excited for. Are we going to see teasers of other games coming? I don't know. I'd love to see a teaser of Doom or something Doom-like. Maybe not DLC, but like a complete new game in a different, like not even a different direction, but add some more story to the original, to what is already there with that story. Something Fallout. I know we got the DLC for Fallout 76, but I am not bothered about that. I want just a main story-driven Fallout. Give me that. I'm all over it. Like white on rice. So yes, please do that. But what else do I want to see from that? I'd like to see the family plan. We've had the price increase, which, isn't a lot, but you chuck a family plan or a friends and family style plan that I can then work with my dad and my brother, bring my monthly, and my eldest daughter, bring my monthly outgoing for it down because we'll split it 4 or 5 ways if we can. But I'll get the availability to play lots of Game Pass, stuff like that. I know for a fact Nick would be all over it because he'd love to play games with Noah. He'd be like all over Minecraft Legends if they could play that together. They'd love it. So I'd maybe like to see that. I can't see us getting any hardware. The whole project of the cloud service kind of hardware that was sat there on Nick's on Phil Spencer's shelf every time we see him, I can't see that happening. I can maybe see some maybe elite controller stuff, maybe like different colors that we're going to be able to get in the design labs, different patterns. Hell, we might even get a complete new Elite Series free, with different functionalities. And they might start sticking gyro in there and allowing gyro style games to come in, which would be difficult to do and pin. Thinking about it, you couldn't do that because then everybody would have to buy a gyro controller, or they'd have to release a full line of gyro controllers specifically for that. So maybe not gyro, but some nice new features. Like, I don't want trackpad because that's Sony. I don't know. Maybe some more customization. Give me some LED lights that I can have around the joystick and stuff like that if I want to. Give us little like customizations we can do, more colors, be able to change different button shapes and styles. Give me some embossed buttons rather than the standard plastic coated looking things. So then when I am jumping between Tears of the Kingdom and the games that I've currently been playing on the Xbox, I'm not like looking down and mashing the A button instead of the B button and the B button instead of the A button. Because that's been a freaking hoot in some games just recently, I tell you. But what else from Gamescom? I want to see some RID like Xbox. I want to see some small developer games because I love me some Tunic. I've been playing a little indie developer game, which I'll talk about later, which has been pretty bizarre and crazy. Arcade Paradise, I've really loved that. Just recently as well. So I want to see more games like that. I want to see small indie developers have a good presence at Gamescom, get a good following, have some hype, because the big names like Bethesda and Activision, Sony, making all these big games all the time. I want to see a couple of small developers get some decent backing to make some cracking games, because that's everybody started that. Doom started as 4 guys sat in a university dorm somewhere, working on shareware. So give me that, give me those kind of things, and I like I said, I'll be all over it. So yeah. And it's not much of a feature story. This is a really weird scenario to be in, where I'm not bouncing backwards and forwards from Nick. We don't have the squirrel moments that comes from Nick or myself. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm enjoying it so far. But with the end of that, it is time to move into Game Pass headlines. So this is the part of the show where we talk about, I keep saying we, there is no we, just I. No. This is where we normally talk about games that have come out since we were last live, or we last recorded an episode. Games that are coming out next week, games that are announced, and games that are leaving. Also, what's available with Games with Gold. Just because, it's a nice little tidbit to be reminded that with your full Ultimate subscription, you can get Games with Gold to own. You can just claim them. They're there in your library. Add them. Don't have to play them, but ever increase your library for free, thereabouts. I mean, some of these games now, we're into the Xbox One era, so some of these games now are still retailing at like £10, £15. So, for your 1 game a month that you might claim, as well as all your Xbox games, it's worth it. So anyway, games that were out since the last episode. July 3rd, we saw Arcade Paradise drop. This game is like just really crazy weird. I've been playing it. I'll talk more about that because I want to kind of add that as my review for a game that I wouldn't normally play for the Dads After Dark Monthly Mayhem. the Service Mayhem. So if you are a big fan of those, go on to their most recent podcast episode, listen to it, and you can figure out what the terms and conditions are for entering that monthly Mayhem. But yeah, what else? So Grand Theft Auto 5, we keep talking about this. This is now available with cloud or console. IGN have got a really good video out there to kind of tell you that depending on which console you have, which edition is best for you to download. But there is support for the Xbox One, there is support for the One S, there is also support there for the Series S and the Series X. So, they have really upped it. Well, I wouldn't say upped it, but they have made the all generations currently available to you to download, and that was July 5th. Don't really need to talk about what the game's about. It's been around long enough. If you don't know about it, where have you been? What rock have you crawled under? The next one that is coming, that it has been released, is Sword and Fairy Together Forever. That's on cloud, console, and PC. Enter a realm that blends ancient mythology with traditional Asian aesthetics in Sword and Fairy Together Forever. Weaving its tale between the three clans of human, deity, and demon, it puts you in a command of a memorable party of characters, each with unique personalized motives, skills, strengths, and weaknesses. So I'm assuming that is an RPG, potentially turn-based. So yeah, go and give that a try. And then the last game that is out as of July 6th, which was Thursday, is Pixel 3. This game's just bizarre. I've never played any of the other ones, but it's a mind-blowing save-the-day adventure that sees the titular wannabe hero avert one disaster after another at every turn using unconventional yet entertaining methods of mayhem. It's McPixel, so it is very pixelated. I'd say 8-bit, but it's crazy. Just as some of the scenarios, you end up on a train, but there's a woman sat there with a bowl of water. There's a red herring on the floor and an old guy with a walking stick, and you've got to stop the train from falling off the tracks. And every time you interact with something different might happen. So there's different ways to get through each level. Some of them are hilarious, and some of them are just totally bizarre. Like at one point, I ate a bomb in bits, and then you had to went into his stomach, and you had to put the bomb back together like a jigsaw, and then he pooped the bomb out into the toilet, which exploded and rocketed him into the sky. It's a totally bizarre game. I think it was maybe 50 megabytes big as well, so it wasn't a really big game. It's got 100 levels. It's just crazy. So go give that a try. I have, and it made me laugh. It's one of those take your brain out kind of play games, which is nice. Games that are coming next week. So July 11th is Common Hood. Common Hood is a squatter settlement simulation game with highly customizable base building tools. Gather and salvage materials, grow your own food, research new technology, craft new tools, and build a new home. Common Hood invites you to explore and discover unique characters that will go from strangers to family, helping the community overcome the shortage of food and shelter. That's coming to cloud, console, and PC. That looks very much like a point-and-clicky style game, so PC players are probably going to love this more than console players. If you're like me, those kind of scrolly with a analog stick style games are just no fun to play on a console. That's no offense to the creators and developers and publishers of the game, or Microsoft for keep putting them on the service. Just I find them really difficult. I'm pretty sure you can hook a mouse up to your Xbox console and work it that way, but I've never really tried. But yeah. Insurgency Sandstorm, that's also coming July 11th. That's coming to PC. Battle in a war-torn environments of a contemporary conflict through a series of intense co-op and PvP multiplayer modes. Feel every bullet and fear every impact in fierce close-quarter combat as you fight teams towards victory. That's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's been around for a while. So there is that one. And then Exoprimal, which is coming July 14th. available. This is available with day one as well. So this is something that's been recently announced and wasn't kind of just there. It was dropped in a picture collection, I believe, the other day. So every month is T-Rex Awareness Month in Exoprimal. Squad up and take down hordes of dinosaurs in a series of endless war games run by the artificial intelligence Leviathan, blending PvE and PvP combat with a variety of objective and powerful exosuits to pilot. No two matches of Exoprimal will play out the same. So you don these giant mech gear style suits with guns and you just take out hordes of dinosaurs that come running at you that are made by this giant AI ball in the sky. Yeah, sounds very crazy. Might watch a couple of videos and see how I feel about that one before I download it and play it. New Game Pass games that are announced that are coming to Game Pass soon. Exoprimal was in that list, like we've just talked about, July 14th. Tectonica, which is a game preview. That's going to be available on cloud, console, and PC July 18th. Dig into the subsurface bioluminescent world of a rogue alien planet as you explore and construct sprawling factories in Tectonica. Work alone or in co-op. Master automation, gather resources and research technologies, and mold the destructible terrain, establish a base of operations, and uncover long forgotten secrets. We actually talked about this one last week, so this isn't a new announce, but it is getting some following and a little bit more showing on the old Twitter sphere. And the last one is The Cave, which is coming to cloud and console. A lot of people have been talking about this in Discord, and they're quite happy that this is coming to Game Pass. The Cave is an adventure game from the Monkey Island and Maniac Mansion creator Ron Gilbert and Double Fine Productions, the award-winning studio behind Psychonauts and Brutal Legend. Assemble your team of 3 from 7 unlikely adventurers, each with their own unique personalities, and then descend into the mysterious depths. I haven't seen anything of this game, or I haven't played anything either. Just what the hype that people have been talking about and stuff like that. I want to give it a go. I think I saw Nick in Discord talking about it, saying he was going to try it, so it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about a post July 18th. Your games that are leaving so far this month, July 15th, XO1 console, PC and cloud, that's leaving from there. Paw Patrol the movie, Adventure City Calls. I'm devastated. Not really. I think I let Logan play this for a bit, and I think he got pretty fed up and bored of the repetitiveness of it. And then Spelunky 2, which, Andros from Nintendo Pals was a big Spelunky 2 fan. Pushed me into playing it a lot. That game drove me mad. Talk about dungeon crawling, Souls-like. Roguelike. Is it a roguelike? Yeah, roguelike. Might be wrong with that. John, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it roguelike or is it Souls-like? I don't know. But anyway, you have to avoid being hit by things, eaten by things, destroyed by things, and try and progress your way through a load of mines. So if you want to play those games, go ahead and do it before July 15th. If not, you'll be able to buy them with a 20% discount and have them forever. Games with Gold. They have now... Adios has now disappeared. I think I mentioned this last week. So June 30th, we saw Adios disappeared. Darkwood is now there instead. That came out 1st of July to the 31st. That seems like an interesting game. I gave a bit of a description about it last week. Bit of a dark and mysterious style looking game. And then next week, we shall see The Veil, Shadow of the Crown disappear on July 15th, along with the games that we just talked about. And then When the Past Was Around, that's a narrative style game, and that's coming July 16th right through to August 15th. And that concludes everything for Game Pass headlines this week. I'm going to move into the dashboard. So the dashboard is the area of the podcast where we talk about what we've been playing. There's no Nick here to talk about playing nothing on the Xbox, but lots of Mighty Doom. So I'm going to talk about the free games that I've played. We'll start with McPixel Free. I've already given a bit of a lowdown of how crazy and weird that game is, but it's very much a take your brain out and play hilarious kind of stuff where you're kicking soldiers out of airplanes and grabbing skydiving gear and eating bombs and booping them out, kicking train attendants who kick you back. It's just weird. Go play the game. You'll see exactly what I mean. The other game I've been playing is Need for Speed Unbound, which I talked about last week. I'm extending the story now. I'm in the middle of trying to earn money, upgrade the car so I can race to get my original car back from Yas, who stole my car and gave the garage that you work for a bad name. So I'm still going on with that. And then the other game I've been playing is Arcade Paradise. So this is where my review of a game that I wouldn't play begins. So John and Drew, you can take this as my monthly mayhem entry if you would like. So Arcade Paradise. It is a first-person kind of laundrette simulator. You play a young girl called Ashley, whose dad has left you in charge of the laundrette because he's gone away for something or other. And you have to kind of run, maintain, clean this laundrette. So, people come in, they drop the laundry off, and these people that come in don't actually walk around. They've got away with that quite well in the game. They're kind of like these characters that kind of stand there and interact with the surroundings a little bit, but then as you walk closer to them, they pixelate and disappear, which is quite nice because it means like there's no lagging in the game with loading and stuff like that. It's quite nice. The music is pretty cool. It's not very strong. I've turned it down a little bit more than it was, but it's not a very strong presence. But yeah, laundry basket comes in, you pick it up and you start putting it and you're literally just holding A to launch this laundry into a basket. But then when you do it, you kind of get like it's very arcadey style where like you think, hey, yeah, that's boat, awesome, excellent, and like these little things pop up, which is pretty cool. And then obviously the washing, you put it in the dryer, and then once it's dried, you put it back on the collection table. And depending on how quick you were at like loading the washing in taking it from the washer to the dryer, from the dryer to the table where it goes out, you get a certain amount of money. So that ranges from like an S rank gets you $30, and like a C or D rank gets you $5. So obviously you kind of wanted to chase the money because you need the money, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, that's pretty cool. You get hidden packages. These hidden packages are pieces of chewing gum, which could be under sinks, at the end of the washing machines and the dryers and stuff like that. And again, that becomes like a mini game in itself, where you get this little energy bar that loads up and down. And you got to hit A at the right point or the highest point, and if you do that, you can pull it off quickly. They just give you money when you collect them, but it's fun and interesting. And then the rubbish you collect, you fill a trash bag, and then you have to take that trash bag outside. And that becomes a game in itself. A bit like a golf game where you get the same like curved power bar and it goes up and down, up and down. And the closer to the top you get it, means you launch it into the middle of the target, which again, you get a ranking, S through to D, I believe. And the higher the rank, the more money you get. You've got to clean the toilet when that gets dirty, which is interesting. But then you, as well as running this laundrette, you kind of have this back room. And in this back room is where all the arcade games are. And what Ashley kind of realizes is, as much as people are coming in to obviously use the laundrette, and there's money made there in like that mini game aspect of getting the laundry done quickly, people also play arcade games. They come in, they put the money in the arcade machines, they play the arcade machines, and different arcade machines. There is like different games that you can play. There's an air hockey game. There's like an old school like top-down Grand Theft Auto style game. There's a stacker game. There's like a dig dug style game where you have to dig down and things like that. And you can play these games. All these are playable. You walk up to them, you can play them. It passes time while you're waiting for the washing to wash or the drying to dry. And there's little mini challenges within these games. So like you can, I think in the stacking game, if you complete the first level within 27 seconds, that's a challenge that you can do. And what these challenges do is they give you multipliers. Those multipliers have nothing to do with your score, but what they do is they get added to the console itself. And then the better the multiplier you have, the more money you make per play from other people playing it. And then you can go into the full simulation thing where like you can increase the difficulty of the game, you can decrease the difficulty of the game, you can change how much it costs, and there's little like graphs and everything to follow. So you've got that aspect, and the more money you make, the more consoles you can buy, and then you get like you work with. I think your sister works in the city planning department, so I'm at the part now where like I'm extending into an extra back room so I can have more arcade consoles, and that's kind of like where the game goes. It goes in that direction, and it's not solely something I'd enjoy, but because it's got the retro feel in terms of like how the game looks, how it plays, and then those little mini games of everything that you do, I'm finding it really fun. I'm finding it like easy to play but fun to play. The music's fun. You know, the fact that I have to go around and empty the machines to get the money, put the money in the safe for me to be able to then use that money online to buy more consoles or extend the shop and stuff. It's all good. And then like once you've done all the stuff you're going to do and you've played your arcade games and the shop shuts, I think like the last wash is something like 9 o'clock, and by the time you've done that last wash it gets you to like 11 o'clock at night. You can walk outside, walk across the road, you go to the bus stop, interact at the bus stop, and that ends the day. You get like a little report of how you've done, like how much money came in, how much maintenance costs were, and things like that. And it's just a fun little game to play. I think it was like maybe 1.2, 1.5 gigabyte to download. It didn't take long. It's dead easy to play. You literally just backwards and forwards on the left hand analog stick. You strafe and look around with the right analog stick. Everything's interacting with A button. The arcade games are fun and interesting to play. They're a good twist on actual games that are out there. So yeah, that's it. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if you want to class that. I'm going to class that as my entry for the monthly mayhem. I don't know if it's good enough. I've never done a full-blown review of any kind like that. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's everything I've been playing this week. Like I said at the start of the podcast, it's that time of year where we're busy. We're getting ready for the holiday. The kids are going to be off soon. Which is other stuff going off all over the place. So yeah. So we're going to move into the party chat where I opened it up to an Ask Me Anything because I was doing a pre-recorded show like this. And I got some questions. So let's head over there.
It's party time! Woohoo! Oh yeah!
Oh yeah, it's party time. So like I said, I opened this up to a massive AMA. You can ask me anything. A lot of people were quite sensible and they actually asked me Xbox related questions, which is really bizarre. I expected a lot more from John and Drew and Hambo and Johnny and Nick. I am shocked Nick didn't ask me a question. He had this absolute massive opportunity, but he's too busy doing his vacationing and, you know, DMing me about the stuff that he's doing on vacation, plus a couple of extra things and bits and pieces. So yeah, I shall start with people on Twitter. So, because I reached out to everybody on Twitter as well. Oh, it's going to take a bit while. I've been talking nearly for an hour long and my throat's getting a bit dry. So, SWYM68, which I've took to say Swim68. Do you know if there's any plans to make the Godfather games available on Game Pass? I don't know. We don't get to see, like, what games are going to be available. I'm currently looking at the EA. Oh. I mean, EA are missing a trick if they're going to do this. If they're not going to do this on Game Pass. Because, I mean, like, you know, they have free-to-play days and weekends. So I can't see why not. I can't see why they wouldn't do this. I'd definitely keep your eyes peeled because they always do free play like weekends and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm intrigued. That's a good question. I didn't think that was as strong as a question because I didn't realize it was EA that made the Godfather games. But yeah, that is a good question. Why are they there? We've got other EA games on there, so I can't see why not. So, but no, definitely, I will keep my eyes peeled, and if we ever hear anything or we see anything, we will let you know straight away. The next question comes from Neo Synthesis, who was a big contender in our Achievement Hunters contest. What do you think the chances are that we will see World of Warcraft come to Xbox, and when do you reckon that will be in both scenarios of Xbox being successful with the merger with Activision and Blizzard or unsuccessful? I can see it only happening if the merger is successful. I think it's going to be one of the games that ends up propelled onto the Game Pass subscription service as soon as the acquisition has happened. I think as soon as it happens, within 2 to 3 months, World of Warcraft will be there for PC and console, and like rapid fire. It'll be there because it'll just draw so many in. And I'll be playing it. If the merger is unsuccessful, I can't see it happening. I can't see them having the, not the rights to it, but just the availability to have that game on its subscription service without a large cost. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. I mean, that whole acquisition should be coming through soon. I'm like literally within the next 6 weeks, I expect to hear more big news rather than just shade being thrown between Sony and Microsoft and Phil and that bloke, Jim Ryan. There he is. Neo Simpsons' second part of the question is, do you think devs should be encouraged more by Xbox to add achievements to DLCs? Often I find myself not buying DLC games I love because of the lack of game score. Just don't warrant the price. Achievements are also a big retention of playtime for me and others. Yeah, Neo Simpsons, I know you're a big game score hunter, which is why you were a heavy contender for most months in our Achievement Hunts contest. I don't know, DLC, if it's not a game that was heavy on the Xbox, it's difficult, I think, for them to make any more DLC achievements to DLC. Normally you just get the like, bing, you have finished the DLC, well done kind of achievement. But yeah, I'd like to see more. I'd like, because it kind of propels you. I know when I buy an Xbox game or I fire an Xbox game up, I like the popping up of achievements all the time. It makes me feel like I've achieved something. It gives you something to drive for. And I know, like yourselves and other stuff and other achievement hunters out there, for the game score, you are actively looking at like games that have lots of achievements or easy to achieve achievements, but also ones that are fun to achieve. Like you give me a fun achievement to try and do, and I will go and do it. It's one of those things. So yeah, they should definitely work really hard. And I think there is. I think in the background there is a lot of work being done with the achievement system, in terms of they're making it harder to pop all the achievements straight away for people that are kind of rigging the system to do that. So I can kind of see them when they're looking into things like this, seeing that they'll do more with the achievement system for DLC. So, watch this space. Tyler, Mr. Acid TK03 comes in with the next question. Xbox will soon have more studios on top of what they have already under them. Could Xbox benefit from having a little show like the Nintendo Minute to discuss future titles each week? Let's say they will be calling their new show Game Pass News with Nick and Sean. Yeah. I think, they could probably benefit from it. I'm happy to work with Xbox with that. You give us the information, which they kind of already do. We get an email from associates with them, which kind of tell us about games that are coming, games that are leaving every week, which is nice. So we are getting noticed for stuff like that. But I know like IGN do the fix, which kind of highlights stuff. That's where I saw all the news about Grand Theft Auto 5. So having an in-house podcast that does that, it's difficult to see that they'll do. But yeah, definitely in the future, I'd like to be that podcast, and it's nice that you would point that out to us as well. But yeah, they're going to have so much going on, especially if they walk into the mobile market as well, with the Activision having King in there. It's just going to be interesting to see. Mr. Zorblanc, he comes in with the next question. Greetings from the Dads After Dark show. Question for you this week, Sean. If the Activision Blizzard purchase gets a green light from the judge this week, how many tissue boxes will I be needing? Hell, if they put all the Tony Hawk's games on there and a peripheral of Call of Duty games on there, then yeah, I'm going to need some alone time. And some tissues. I'm kidding. Gross. No, I'm going to be excited for it. If this happens and we start seeing games that come from them in pretty quick succession, I am going to be completely lost with what to play in Starfield. It's coming soon. It's pending, and so is that other game with tiny little creatures on Nintendo. Pikmin, that one that you reminded me of on Twitter. Thanks, dude. Yeah, that's coming soon. So I'm definitely gonna have to prioritize. What games is there with Activision Blizzard, and that reign of developers. What have they made that I haven't bought that I've wanted to play because I've had other stuff to play? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look in to see how it goes, but I'm super excited for it happening. I want it to happen. It's been dragged out so much now. Yep. Mr. Timothy Olf, one of the OG Nintendo dads, has dropped us a little snippet from some of their show notes to talk about Nintendo in the current gen competitive market. So there's a couple of things here. Is Nintendo a competitor? Is it in a current gen competition? Microsoft says Nintendo is a competitor, but Sony says Nintendo is not. And why does it matter? As a Polygon, which is a very reputable website for you to find out news. If it's just PlayStation and Xbox, it's a little easier to argue Microsoft gets an unfair advantage in acquiring Microsoft Blizzard. If it's a global freeway race, especially against the blistering sales performance of the Nintendo Switch, Microsoft can better make the case it's more of an underdog than a marketing bully. So, he asked that the overall question is Nintendo a current gen competitor? Why or why not? In its own right, Nintendo is super strong. Like, you cannot argue that. The hardware sales of their stuff is just astronomical. They come out with all these specialized Switches, like the Zelda ones, the Pokemon ones, the Splatoon ones. I can see that being a Mario Wonder one when that comes out. I can see it definitely now. I can especially with the OLED, all these purple colors and stuff like that involved. But yeah, hardware sales, undoubtedly Nintendo is fantastic. Software related sales, so the games and things like that, they are so strong as well because they are in their own. They have their own niche. So I see myself wholeheartedly as an Xbox player, but I have such an affiliation with Nintendo. It's unreal. You drop a Metroid game and a Mario game, a Zelda game. Now, thanks to Nick and Dan and Dad Crossing, you drop an Animal Crossing game, I'm going to come running. Literally, I will be. Yeah. You'll just not see me for dust. I'm super excited for Mario Wonder. I'm excited for the remake of Mario RPG. I'm on tenterhooks all the time for Metroid Prime news. I've played 170 hours of Tears of the Kingdom to finish it without touching the Xbox in that time. So it is fair to say that Nintendo is a massive, massive competitor in the current gen market that we are in, because they do their own thing. They make their own style of games. They make their own franchises behind things. They have such a nostalgia with me that it will never die. Graphically, it's not as good. Tears of the Kingdom is a beautiful game. If you play that in handheld on that OLED screen, it is absolutely gorgeous to play. But you compare that to the realism of games on the PS5 and on the Series X, it's not much of a competition, but it's not we know Nintendo have always been lapsed in the graphical department, but the depth and the gameplay they have is just next level. And that's what they really, really like. They do the best at. They are fantastic at building a franchise and then bringing you in, immersing you in that world fully, like completely absorb yourself within a Mario game. And it's hard to pull away. So Nintendo has its own way of being in this competition with Sony and Microsoft. And they do really well. Like, I would pit them as being... I'd go Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. And that's because Nintendo just have this absolute draw and pull on the nostalgia side of things. Microsoft, because, I love Xbox. PlayStations are great. They are. They have fantastic games. But whenever you hear me talk about PlayStation, it's, I would love to have a PlayStation to play that game. So the exclusivity comes out of it. So which means that like I have a bitterness to it all the time because, that's what they've done. Now, if I want to play Spider-Man, I have to own a PlayStation. Like, it's not like, I want to play Call of Duty. I can play that on a PlayStation or an Xbox. It's like, well, most of my friends have an Xbox, so I'm going to go Xbox because, that's where I grew up. My dad has one. My brother has one. My daughter has one. My friend Gareth has one. So it's like, that's just the way it goes. But yeah, to answer the question, Nintendo are definitely in this current gen market, but based on like the type of games that they do and the hardware that they have, not the realisticness of the graphics and games, just the way that they make games puts them high in this place. Hoots comes with the next question. I do apologize for the noises there. My throat is starting to tickle and itch up. Would Microsoft being in last place make a difference in whether or not this acquisition results in an unfair competitive advantage? Yes. If they were so far behind and they didn't have Game Pass, because let's put it this way, I see a change coming, and I've seen it coming now for a little while, that Microsoft is going to come away from Xbox and go with Game Pass. That's why I think it stopped being Xbox Game Pass and it's now just symbol Game Pass. I think they are making a franchise with that. Excuse me. So, yeah, I think they're trying to corner the market. Well, no, they're not trying to corner the market. They're a stronger player in the market for cloud gaming. Hoots also goes to say, Nintendo is absolutely in the race. My Nintendo backlog is the reason why I don't own a PlayStation. So yeah, he probably agrees with all my points. So yeah, Hoots, I agree. Nintendo definitely have a spot in this market. I agree with the last bit that you put there in your question, for sure. And then brings me down to the last two questions, and these are the kind of questions I was expecting when I said "and ask me anything" kind of thing. Hambone Johnny, would you rather not clip toenails for a year or not brush your teeth for a year? He says, have fun picking that one. That's an easy. I cannot go half a day without brushing my teeth. Like, if I miss brushing my teeth on a morning because we're rushing the kids out of the house, I can literally get to like, before lunchtime, I can just feel the fur growing and it's like, oh my God. So yeah, I would rather not clip my toenails for a year. I'd like happily smash them in the end of my boots and have the pain rather than not brushing my teeth for a year. That's just disgusting. So that's not a very difficult one to unpick. That is just downright, nobody likes bad breath. Nobody likes having their teeth and mouth feel unclean. So yeah, for definite. And then Zablanc, how much do you tip a buffet? This in the question time section of our little spot on the Nintendo Dad's Discord opened up an absolute whirlwind of people talking. But how how much do I tip? If I tip a buffet, depending on the service, like, and I can agree with Nick with this, like, if I go to a Brazilian restaurant, like, I love Brazilian restaurants, the way they come around, they bring you the meat on sticks, and they've got that like really nice cinnamon roasted pineapple. If they're coming around and you've got the whole card system, and like you've got the green cards up, and they're coming like, and they're really like, well, they spot the green cards straight away, and they bring like a selection of meat, and they're there, and they're bringing their drinks to the table and stuff like that. I'm tipping for definite. Like over here, it's like $25 for £25 for something like that. There's a place called Facenda's in Leeds, which I'm absolutely dying to try. But there's one locally. There's a Brazilian restaurant locally to me that I go to, and it's £25 for that. That doesn't include your drinks, and I'm leaving like a 15-20% tip, easy. Like, I do 10% regardless, 10% tip regardless, because even if you eat a bad meal, it's not because of the people that have brought you the meal that it's bad. It's people that are cooking it. And I don't want to crap on the waitresses and the waiters that brought the food out when, you know, it's not their fault. You don't shoot the messenger, do you? So I always tip because, you know, my daughter works in that industry, and, you know, her wages bumped up to buy tips. Lindsay worked in that industry when she was younger, and, you know, she swears that tips, like, you know, she was making, you know, sometimes she could make £20-30 extra a shift just on tips. So I'm always tipping. I don't not tip. That's, to me, is a no-no. I don't like automatically added tips, even though I am going to tip. I feel like that's, you know, you're already assuming that of me, so no, stick it up your ass. But no, I always tip. But if I have really good service, we're always going to tip more. And 9 times out of 10 when we're going to one of these restaurants, I'm going with a big group of guys, so there's going to be 10-15 of us, and like we'll all put like £5-6 in each. So, you know, we are going to leave a good £50 to £60 tip on top of everything else. So I always tip. That might not sound like a lot, but to me, like, leaving a £10 tip on a £20 meal is quite a lot. So yeah, that answers that question. And that brings me to the end of a solo podcast. I was expecting like I would get through this within like half an hour and be done, but no. Here we are, an hour long. My throat is drying up, and for some strange reason, my nose is starting to run, which is a bit weird. But as always, thank you everybody for listening to me ramble on for 1 hour about Xbox. How bizarre is that? If you want to get in touch with us on any of our social media accounts, you can do. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. We are looking at threads. Everything is at Game Pass News. If you want to drop us an email, you know, thank me for doing an hour-long solo podcast. You can do it. Head over to gamepassnewscast@gmail.com. Squirt your email that way. If you're listening to this via the podcasting app, which is probably going to be the only way you're going to be able to listen to it, please review. You know, give me some feedback. That'd be great. Thank you very much. You can subscribe to our Twitch channel to get access to Discord, where we hang out and we chat. You can ask me all different weird questions or join in on the chat about how you leave tips. If you want any merchandise with our faces, our names, anything on it, you can do. Head over to redbubble.com and look for the star Game Pass News. Thank you again for listening. I know it's a very bizarre way and we've missed a live show for this week, but thank you again for listening. And until next time, I shall see you later.